Good evening, and thank all of you for being here. Today is June 25th, 2024. We're here for our special call meeting today. I'm going to ask, I'm going to go ahead and officially call this meeting to order. I'm going to ask Commissioner Edwards if he would lead us in our invocation and our pledge tonight.
Everyone bow their heads, please. Dear Lord, thank you for another opportunity to come together and do the business of Newton County. We ask that you guide us, watch over us, give us discernment and wisdom, and ask that you ensure that we do things in your name. And we ask these things in Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, thank all of you for being here tonight. We're here for our budget adoption. We're going to turn it over now to our county manager, Mr. Harold Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board members, residents, and employees of Newton County. We come before you today with the presentation and the adoption of our FY25 budget. We have had our public hearings. We've had multiple discussions. We have put together a budget, as I stated before, where we understand that our needs are our wants and our wants are our needs. We're being fiscally responsible, and we will continue to be a boutique outfit that does big and bold things in comparison to like-sized counties. So at this particular time, I want to yield to our finance director, Ms. Brittany White, and she will present the proposed budget.
Thank you. We'll go ahead and highlight the all funds summary. Just as a reminder, our budget is composed of primarily the general fund as well as special revenue funds, capital funds, enterprise funds, and debt service funds. So our total FY 2025 proposed budget for this year is $133,947,460. This is an increase of 3.1% over FY24. This graph just shows all the funds and the percentage of the county budget. So the general fund is 74.3% of the budget, followed by our Cornish Creek Water Fund at 8%, our Solid Waste Fund at 6.2%, our Fire District Fund at 3%, the E911 Fund at 2.5%, our ARPA Fund at 2.2%, our Grant Fund at 2%, Impact Fee at 0.7%, and our Workers' Comp at 0.4%. So to highlight our expenditures for the general fund, we do have a proposed 4.5% COLA in this budget, which is around $2 million for our employees. We also have added the additional payment for our defined benefit pension plan at $2 million. Our health insurance increased 11%, so that increases $1 million. We've added paving funds for public works that have previously not been in the general fund at $2 million. We had to add an additional ABM debt for $555,000. And then we held all department operating lines outside of personnel at the exact same numbers they were for FY24. So this total added $7,555,000 to the budget in FY25. So this is just a graph that shows our FY25 proposed budget versus the FY24 budget versus FY23 and FY22 actuals. So for our general fund revenue highlights, due to some feedback we received in the budget presentation last week, we did do a fund balance utilization for both ABM payments of $1,142,424. So that actually decreased the amount that we will be seeing increased in revenue from the tax digest. So this would be a proposed millage rate of 8.242. We also had an increase in loss collections of $802,000. We had an increase in interest income at $1.3 million and an increase in our insurance premium taxes of $600,000. So these graphs just show the FY22 and FY23 actuals versus the FY24 budget for the revenues and the proposed budget for FY25. So for our general fund revenue by category, our largest category is taxes. So the amount of taxes that we will be collecting in this FY25 budget is $83.6 million, followed by license and permits at $1.4 million, intergovernmental revenues at $1.6 million, charges for services $5.6 million, fines and forfeitures for $929,000, interest income at $2.5 million, contributions and donations at $6,000, miscellaneous revenue at $706,000, and our other financing sources at $2.8, bringing us to a total of $99,462,661. So this just shows our general fund revenues by category. Our largest category is general government at 90.5, followed by public safety at 3.6, judicial at 2.2, housing and development at 1.7, and public works at 1.1. So for our expenditures, our largest category is going to be personnel services at 10.7% increase of last year, which comes to $66.5 million. Our next largest category is going to be purchasing and contracted services at $17.5 million, followed by supplies, which is $10.1 million. Then we have no funds in this budget for capital. We have interfund and departmental charges at a negative $295,000. We have other costs at $2.2 million, our debt service at $1.1 million, and other financing uses at $2.1 million. So for our general fund expenditures by category, again, personnel and services is the largest at 66.9%, followed by purchasing and contracted services at 17.7%, supplies at 10.2%, other costs at 2.2%, other financing uses at 2.1%, and debt service at 1.1%. So for our general fund expenditures by function, our largest function here in the general fund is going to be public safety at 52%, followed by general government at 17.8%, judicial at 9.5%, public works at 8.8%, other financing services at 4.1%, recreation at 3%, housing and development at 2.2%, health and welfare at 1.1 or 1.5%, followed by debt service at 1.1%. So this is just a chart of our general fund by department. So once again, all departments, their line items were held consistent for FY25 other than personnel. So our total increase to the general fund budget this year was 9%, which is an increase of $7.8 million over last year. And this graph just shows our 10-year millage rate history and the levy, the taxes that have been levied and collected. So 10 years ago, our millage rate was at 12.99%, and this budget would support a millage rate of 8.242%, or just 8.242. So the next steps, tonight we are seeking approval of the FY25 budget resolutions. Once the budget is adopted, we will begin the millage rate process after that.
Thank you, Brittany. Guys, I seek a motion. So can I get a motion on the floor, please? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd ask legal, can we do both resolutions at once, or they have to be separate? Thank you. So this time I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number R062524 as stated by the County Finance Director.
Is there a second, please? Second. There's been a motion by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? Commissioner Sanders.
Yes, this question will be for legal. I know we discussed during the budget hearing, well, actually workshops, about our debt, ABM, and I know he's going to get some information for us. That is one of my huge concerns and making me not want to vote for the budget, is because of that huge debt. So if you can please enlighten us on that.
So we are evaluating our options with respect to trying to get out of that debt, but until you are out of that debt, you must budget for it. The law requires you to budget for your debt.
No, I'm not asking that question. I'm asking,
right.
Has there been any information given to us as far as we mentioned about the breach that's supposed to come back in regards to us?
We are drafting information to get to you. We want to make sure we give you all of the relevant information. We're still working through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. And I guess First of all, forgive me, please for being a little bit late. Most time when on a budget session, if you're a little bit late, you kind of miss out most of everything. Is this concerning the rollback? Is it still on, are we still looking at a rollback as for the citizens of Newton County?
So an actual official rollback rate would be right around 7.9. This budget does support an 8.242 millage rate. So it's not a rollback, but it is a reduction of the current millage rate, which is 8.4.
Patrick, I mean, can I can I explain it to me if you would? Because it's not a rollback. It's a reduction in our taxes. Just the way it be stated, it won't be advertised as a tax increase.
I think it probably will still be advertised as a tax increase. Again, it's not, it is a reduction in the millage rate, but the total tax revenue will increase, and that's how the state requires us to advertise it.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Sanders.
So you're stating that the millage rate, which was last year, was 8.4, am I correct? And now we're rolling back to 8.24. So there's really not a savings going to the residents, the taxpayers of Newton County, just basically sustaining from what we did last year by rolling back a couple of millage.
Yeah, because the rollback rate calculated by the state's formula would be a 7.9. So anything more than a 7.9 would be an increase.
So our budget could not support the 7.9 rollback millage rate, because I know we had a surplus.
The budget could not support the added 7.5 million had to have increase in property taxes or fund balance, one of the two.
So the surplus, what are we utilizing that for? We just putting that in the fund balance?
Let me go back to that slide.
Because I know our tax commissioner, he was able to claim, out of the 11 million of taxes that were behind, he was able to claim 10 million. So that went
10,
yeah.
that,
So,
I'm not aware of that.
yeah, that's been advertised. So if we, how much do we have as a surplus?
Our surplus as of the end of FY23 was 60 million.
60 million?
Yes.
So we're not going to utilize that to help the residents of Newton County to give them a reduction?
This budget, as stated on this slide right here, utilizes $1,142,424 of fund balance.
Okay. Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed? It passes 3-2. Thank you. Number 4, Brittany, you want to go through that?
The next budget resolution that we would like to pass has to do with our appropriations. So this just has appropriations that were similar to all the previous years before, which includes McIntosh Trail, Newton County Family Connection, Newton County Board of Health, Washington Street, Newton County Library, Viewpoint Health, Newton County IDA, Newton County DFAX, Alcovey CASA, and Highway 278 CID at all of the same amounts they had last year.
I seek a motion, please.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Resolution R062524, which is the adoption of Newton County, Georgia, temporarily continuing the operation of the 2024 fiscal year. No, we're doing the appropriations.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Resolutions R062524A, the adoption of funding for Newton County appropriations. I was like, she said appropriations.
Thank you, sir. It's been motioned by Commissioner. Is there a second? I'm sorry. Let me get a second. Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason, second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. Thank you once again. At Nelson Heights, some of the constituents and I guess some people who were asked, I think, by the county manager to assist in the program, I think they had said that there was some monies that was supposed to have been, I guess, that had been somewhat budgeted and unused. And I know that I think y'all are having some kind of work day or something up there Thursday. I'm not quite sure what it is. But the only thing what I'm saying is this. If Nelson Heights is, I think most of us, and myself included, if it's going to be successful, then you have to budget some money for the programming of that particular community center. And up until today's date, I think we've kind of felt very short on it. And I think there should be something in the means of good faith. So this question that I'm asking to you, Ms. Brittany, if I may, Mr. Chairman, is that are there any monies available for Nelson Heights as far as putting together some programming out there, I guess under the direction of the county manager or the district commissioners on the board?
There was not any specific money budgeted like we do for current appropriations like Washington Street. But once we do decide to get an entity in there, what we would do is we would bring a budget amendment back to allocate that appropriation to that particular entity.
Okay, so at present, I guess what we're saying is, and I guess, I don't know who to direct this question to. I guess to the county manager, do we have an entity in there as of today's date?
We don't have an entity in there as of today's date.
Any more discussion? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just finished it, thank you. So,
Any more discussion? Commissioner Sanders.
Can you remind me of what was the amount for the IDA board again?
The IDA is $350,000.
350,000. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? Any opposed? Any opposed? All in favor? Let me do that again. All in favor? Thank you. It passes 5-0. So we don't need it. We don't need number 5. Any commissioners? Any comments before we close out? Commissioner Sanders.
I would just hope that going forward, that the budget voting on this, and Patrick probably could help me a little bit more with that, is breaking down the various entities for it to be voted on. Because it's a little bit hard, because when a commissioner is voting on the budget, they're voting on it collectively. So they're not against various things like the pension for the employees and so forth. They may be against certain items that are in the budget. So if you're not voting for it, of course it affects everything in its entirety. But as a commissioner who's a public servant, you want to make sure that the residents of Newton County are getting their due diligence and their money back as far as their taxes. And with us sitting on a $16 million surplus, and there's an inflation in property taxes, and they receive their tax bill, and we have not done anything but rolled it back to make it sustain from last year, it doesn't look like we're doing anything as a government. Thank you.
Anyone else? Commissioner Henderson.
thank you. I made a promise to my constituents that I was not going to support any kind of a tax increase unless I deemed it necessary. But it saddened me that, to me, not no one else, just old J.C. Henderson, that year after year there seemed to be an increase, but yet we say it's a decrease. And we don't see that dollars and cents in our pocket. We don't see that reduction. And so, just as Commissioner Sanders had said, I'm not against anything that we did for the county, other projects. It's just that I don't think it's right for the taxpayers in Newton County to continue, for that rates to be continued raised, and yet we say it's a reduction.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cowell? Anything? Nothing? Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just kind of want to put it out there that this board is basically responsible for making sure that we provide the services not only for our county staff, but for our residents, for our constitutional officers. That is the responsibility, the fiscal responsibility of this particular board. I do understand, and the decisions that this board makes, for me personally, I'm a taxpayer too. So I'm not coming in from another county to make decisions about Newton County. So I pay taxes every single year. I understand the reasoning behind it. is so that we can provide the services that our community needs. I get calls all the time, Commissioner Mason, I need my roads repaired. Well, where is the funding coming from to get those roads repaired? Well, it comes from this budget. I have, people saying, Commissioner Mason, there's so many accidents, what are we going to do to help prevent that? Well, now we're looking at putting in a new signage, or we're looking at putting in roundabouts. Where is that funding going to come from? That funding comes from this budget. I get calls, Commissioner Mason, we really want more recreation within our community. We want more parks. We want, a pool. We want all of these various things. And so my reply to this board is, well, how do we make those things happen for what the residents want? I'm a big proponent of economic development. That has become a passion of mine. And I'm a firm believer that as we develop our community, what happens is those industries that move into our community, they now take on the larger tax base. And so we are at a crossroads right now within our community. Our community is growing so rapidly and so quickly. And there are several industries that want to come to our community. But we have some residents that don't want us to develop and some residents that do. And so we're trying to figure out the equation on how do we basically fund all of these things. And we want to do our best to provide relief. I know when I first came in back in 2019, the millage rate was at 13.44%. So from 2019 to now, we're down to 8.2%. That says that this board has done work over the past 6 years to try to find ways where this board can provide relief to our residents. And so it is not a one thing fix all. We have to try to figure out all of the different elements that come together to try to provide a level of relief. So I don't want anyone to think that this board has not done their due diligence to try to help provide relief. I don't want that narrative to go out. I don't want that message to go out because that is inaccurate, it is false, and it's not true. When I came in, it was 13.4%, now down to 8.2%. That says that this board has done some things to try to provide relief to our residents. And so I just wanted to put that out there, Mr. Chair, that we are doing what we can to provide relief to our residents, and I want that message to be clear. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Brittany, can you put slide 4 back up there, please? After the budget presentations a while back, I asked for a sit down with Mr. Cooper and the chairman and Brittany, and since that time we have met a couple, 3 times, and I wanted to go through and outline how we could take some of our fund balance and use that for tax relief for our citizens. So I had these grand plans, right? And until I sat down with the county leadership and I understood the $7.55 million increase. These aren't increases that are coming from department heads asking for positions. These are increases that were over last year's budget. And the COLA, if I'm not mistaken, Brittany, the COLA, which is $2 million in total, is $500,000 over what that was last year, correct?
Yes.
Right. So, and then we got the pension package, and we've come to understand that recruitment and retention saves a lot of money in terms of our personnel. It took me a while to figure that out, but it pays. We have to do what we can to attract and retain our personnel. And then I think we went over this last week, that some of the paving projects that our SPLOS has taken care of in the previous few years, the current SPLOS will not do that. So we had to rob that Peter to pay that Paul if we want to have some of our roads continue to be paved. So we have that increase, and an increase of our overall budget that did not keep pace with inflation. And still, I asked for a reduction. And I, even through emails as late as this morning, I was asking for reductions in certain things, and it looks like that was accommodated, and I appreciate that. So I think we've done as a board as good as we can. We have these budget workshops leading up to the budget vote where we throw darts at the budget, and I think we've done that. Now, we did not get to reduce this budget and take the burden off the taxpayers like I had wanted to. And I still held out hope we could up until the last couple of weeks, and I see the pending litigation we've got out there. And if we have to pay out in that pending litigation, then our overall county fiscal stability would be at risk. So we now have to take a step back and maybe sit on some of that money in hopes that we don't have to use it. But unfortunately, that's where we are. So I just wanted Brittany and your team, Mr. Cooper, your team, leadership team, Mr. Chairman, to know I appreciate your hard work. I know we tried to we tried to reduce it even more, but the proof is in the pudding on slide 4 right here. So over and above last year's budget. And we have to pay for it. I've got to pay for it with my taxes. And unfortunately, I'll have to try to explain that to my constituency as well. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, we gave everyone opportunity to speak, so that was your commissioner comments. We're not going to go back and forth like that. But with that being said, thank you.
All I wanted to know was about the pending litigation.
Thank you.
Could somebody get that back to me as far as all the money that
Commissioner Henderson, you're out of order,
Stanley Edwards had talked
Commissioner
about.
Henderson, you're out of order, sir.
So I'd like to make a record request, if I may, to the clerk.
With that being said, thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. But thank you to the employees who do a great job here in this community. Thank you so much for what you do, and we hope that this budget will help bring some happiness to you guys. With that being said, I seek a motion that we adjourn. It's a motion by Commissioner Henderson, and second by Commissioner Edwards. We stand adjourned. Thank you.